Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
This hour of the Alan Autry Show is sponsored by Sinlaw, the most realistic artificial grass in the Central Valley.
From NFL quarterback to Hollywood to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX. This is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. We are last. We are
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KFT.
And welcome to Free For All Friday. It's Alan Autry here, and as always, honored and humbled to have you join us on this Friday. And boy, do we have a special guest. We're not going to meander at all. We're going to go right to it. And I'm going to throw it to the boss. Well, you know, there's the boss at KXX, Guillermo, and then there's the big boss.
The boss's boss.
The boss of bosses. And we're so privileged
I'm
and
the
blessed
fake boss.
to have her on the line. And you'll know why when I let Guillermo here introduce our first guest here. Go ahead, Guillermo.
All right. A very, very special person is about to come on the airwaves. I spent the first 9 months of my life with her. She held me captive against my will. Nonetheless, I'm sure she was happy when when she got rid of me.
You arrived on the scene.
When I arrived on the scene. My mom, Lisa Moreno.
The president was not going to pay a ransom.
Yeah, no. My mom, Lisa Moreno, the president of KXEX. She is actually going to be next to the former president of the United States. Donald Trump is in Anaheim. My mom is going to be joining us live from Anaheim, the California Republican Convention. Of course, that's happening the next 3 days. President Trump right now, Ron DeSanctimonious will be there at, I think, the dinner tonight. And
They're not going to be there at the same time.
No.
No, I didn't think so.
Yeah, they coordinated that
That
well.
would not work.
They coordinated that really well.
Yeah.
And then my mom is actually going to be leading the prayer for Senator Tim Scott's reception.
Oh, very nice.
This evening.
Love
Outstanding.
Tim Scott.
Yeah.
Good man.
So without further ado, Mom,
Yes.
you're on live now.
Thank you. It's great to talk to you all, and it's a really packed house here this afternoon. Former President Trump will be making his arrival pretty soon. It is, I would say we're about an hour out, and media had to be here at 6 o'clock this morning so that they could get their credentials, and there has been a light wave ever trying to stream into the ballroom itself, but the streets outside are full with admirers and supporters of former President Trump, and inside of the convention hall there is a line. I would say it seems like to me it's a couple of blocks inside just to get inside of the venue. And so the media has been here early. They've got their credentials early. They've been set up since 7 o'clock in the morning.
Mom, is Hunter Biden in line? That's what everybody wants to know. Hunter Biden, did he have to get up early? No, let me ask you this, Mom. What's the general consensus? You have special access right now. Who's next to you? Is it CNN or Univision? Because every time I've done these events, they're always put liberal media. Like, well, there's
Actually, OAN is next to me, sitting at the table, and then we have an anchor from Bakersfield. Washington Post was next to me earlier, and then I see CNN's table. I don't know if I think someone is sitting at it right now, but we
probably
have
out to lunch.
There's just the as you know, the riser is completely full with media cameras. Some people are sitting on the floor. There's not enough room. There's just a lot of media coverage in the back. It's just a black wall of cameras.
Listen. When Trump, because he does this all the time. It's like greatest hits. It's like a concert. He's going to point to you, but he's going to point towards you, but he's not going to mean you. He's going to say, all the fake media, they're here, and he's going to point to you. And at that point in time, you look around and you're like, "Hey guys, I'm not fake media. I'm the real media." And then you look directly at CNN, and they get really offended. They get really. I've done it a couple of times. They get so offended. They
What
get
a
so
strategy!
Mad. I'm giving you guys the background. Anyhow, let me ask you this: you've been with the party. You're around individuals. Who are they most excited about? Because they're going to have all the candidates there. I think Vivek is going to be there later on. If you were
President Trump
Okay.
for sure. The room is packed. It's sold out weeks ago. The media is in the main huge ballroom here. I will be giving the invocation, like you said, later on this afternoon for candidate Scott DeSantis. We will be in the room with DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy tomorrow. Today, DeSantis and Scott and President Trump. But there's by far the security detail is for former President Trump. It's not for the other candidates. Like, sure, you need special access to come in here. You need some orange wristbands. That's not the case for all the other candidates. You just need a sticker on your past credentials.
What about for Bergam?
Everyone
They'll
else,
let anybody in, huh?
They're recruiting people to come in.
This place has been on lockdown for at least 6 hours now.
Alan is trying to just be the most serious.
No, Bergen, bless his heart. I haven't seen such charisma since Asa Hutchinson.
And everybody remembers him.
Or Gerald Ford.
Yeah.
It's just
for his outlandish style.
For his outlandish style. But, Lisa, you hear about being at these Trump rallies, people standing, like you said, there's big lines around the corner, certainly to see Trump. Isn't he couldn't you say he's like the Taylor Swift of the Republican Party?
Oh, yeah.
I have to say, yes. And what's more interesting as well, I love to speak to people that are not from any of the typical party goers, if you will. None of the attendees we know that are Republican. I spoke to some of the people that are not here for convention, but supporters of the event. And I'm happy to say that people are saying that they are not Republican, but they want Trump to win. So, I take the pulse of the people that are in front of the hotel that aren't coming to the convention, and I ask them, hey, who do you think should win? They're like, I want Trump to win, and they're not Republicans. So I think that's a consensus among a lot of voters nowadays that they want to see him back.
Well, how much do you think these just really outlandish, crazy, charges and indictments that the average citizen listens to and saying, what? You're going to send this guy to prison for the rest of your life for that? Which they can't even articulate in the 19 indictments in Georgia, and the Jack Smith's saying he's going to prove he knows what Trump was thinking on January 6th, that people have just said, look, I may not like this guy, but this is such an abuse of governmental power against one man just to kick him out of the election, to fix the coming up election, that they have to support him on that principle. That if they let this go by unchallenged, then you're talking about a whole different country. You truly are talking about, the beginnings of a banana republic. You think that's playing in a lot of these folks that were not going to vote for Trump, but now what he's gone through are saying, hey, I feel like I'm compelled to vote for him out of conscience?
I spoke to two people this morning, both male, that reside in this city, and they said they are not Democrat, but they want him to win because, and I'm sure they're going to vote for him, because they see that it's so biased. They see the attacks. In so many words, they said that it's not fair, it's obvious, and everybody's noticing that it's an attack on him. It's personal, it's not justified, and it's incomprehensible. And so I believe that the more attacks that they've done on former President Trump, it's only caused the voters that were on the fence or not decisive to make the decision to support him.
Yeah. I know you're the position, the formal name of the position, Guillermo, is here that Lisa has. It's
all right. Let me get a good breath in here. It is the California Central Valley Regional Vice Chair for the California Republican Party.
Okay. Lisa is and now holds that position. Lisa, how important is it in this election for voters, Republican voters, to vote early and kind of, fight fire with fire and go out and legally do ballot harvesting and doing everything they can to get that early vote in? Because how do you continue or can you come back if you're 500,000 votes down before the election day.
It's critical. As a matter of fact, that's one of the focuses that we've been trying to mentor and train into all of the electorate across the valley. We have to do ballot chase. The Dems call it ballot harvesting. We call it ballot chase, and we have tried to begin that mentality of early is better. Even President Trump is mentioning that when he's speaking. We have to get on this practice of submitting ballots early, not waiting until election day, not being decisive that if I don't go in person and cast my vote, I won't cast my vote, at all. I want to do that patriotic action. That is great, but we live in a different era now. We need to be ahead when those first ballots hit and the first results come out. We have to be ahead. That is a big factor, I think, in last minute voters that have not voted, that have not submitted their ballot. We have to, as soon as the mail delivers the ballots in that first week or two, we have to make a mad rush to get those in within the first 30 days, way before election day. It is critical beyond belief.
Mom, how do we do that? You and I have had this discussion many times. Republicans are not going to hand over ballots. How do we do that? Like how do we take ballots?
So the first thing to do is as soon as we receive our ballot, we have to mail it in, because by mailing it in, we will make that first cut. That's number one. And the RNC has created a method called Bank Your Vote. It's bankyourvote.com, where if you vote, we will be able to track and make sure that you have submitted your vote. So towards the end of the cycle, if you will, up until election day, we can track those Republican voters and voters that have not submitted their ballot and focus on those so that we can get that vote that's left. If we wait for everyone to do it on the same day, we have no tracking, we have no method of getting the most ballots in. So bankyourvote.com is an opportunity that the RNC has implemented for the same reason. Anyone that hasn't mailed it in, it gives us a mechanism to focus county by county, city by city on the ballots that have not been submitted, so we can go chase them, not harvest them. So what do we do at that time? Well, this is part of the reason we've had the convention, to make sure that we have that process in place. So county chairs of the Republican Party in each county will be able to work with grassroots volunteers, making sure that we have those relationships early in the season, so that when that time comes, it's not, okay, who do I call? Where do I go? We're developing those relationships early. We're developing the relationships with our voters this fall, this winter, into the new year. So it's not the same as I'm not giving my ballot up, come and take it with my gun in hand. We will have that established relationship with our voters, Republican, NPP, and dare I say Democrats.
Yeah, I'm one of those old school folks that likes to vote on the day of the election, going to the booth and mark my ballot, get my little decal and all that stuff. But, I just wonder how many votes are lost that, life is uncertain. You're sick that day and you can't go in, or, the weather is bad. In some of these states, you're snowed in. You can't get to there on time. And then once that's done, once that date is passed, you can't vote. So I agree with you, Lisa. The times are changing. I heard something, and I'd like your opinion on it. That a statistic that really kind of took me back, because I'd never seen a study of this kind. And what I'm referring to is, they do all of this research and contacts on high propensity voters. They want to make sure that you knock on the door of the high propensity voters, that you tailor your message to the high propensity voters, because they're going to be the ones that historically have turned out. Get all that. But they did a survey, and out of low propensity voters, those that are registered but don't vote that often, over 50% they determine is conservative. Why haven't we, or conservatives, people that have conservative values, focused on that demographic, the low propensity voters that might just need a nudge? Maybe they need a ballot delivered to them. Maybe they need to, have it chased. Have you heard similar statistics on that, or was this just like an outlier? I'd never seen any other study on low.
It's absolutely 100% accurate. It is well known statistically in a lot of data that high propensity voters are going to be those that we know you and me and Guillermo will always vote every single election cycle, whatever it takes. The last election cycle, as a matter of fact, I remember was thunderstorming when I went to the Madera Ranchos to cast my vote, and I was just saturated wet. I said to myself, I should not do this again. I guarantee you that if it's difficult for someone else, that may not be the option or opportunity for them. And yes, it's well known that we have that. If let it be known that I have researched in our own county and in our region that we could win local offices by conservative candidates if Republicans that are registered to vote would just cast their vote. But there's so much apathy and just passive, nonchalant. This big sentence is, my vote doesn't count. It doesn't matter. The election is rigged anyway. Nothing's going to change. Those four statements are what are a huge mind block for a lot of Republicans, a lot of conservatives, to say, I'm not going to participate, or I'm mad, I'm not going to do it. And that's how we lose elections. But yes, you are absolutely 100% correct. If we would vote as Republicans, as conservatives, we would take city council seats back in Fresno City. We would win school board elections in Fresno County. We would win assembly seats in our region. But yes, our own party has that apathy of not casting their vote. And how do we improve that? Well, I have to say that personally on my agenda as regional vice is to improve our messaging. Improve our messaging so that we can get to the low propensity voters early. Establish a relationship. Historically, Ellen, the way the Obama campaign won was not by chasing, harvesting ballots. It was by developing relationships. They developed relationships with the voters early on so that they had people in the community that knew the voters, knew the community. They were, their name was well known. So when it came to having to cast their ballot, they were not foreign faces.
Yeah. That makes all the sense in the world.
All right, Mom. Well, have fun.
Wow. Yeah. That was a great segment. That's the best segment we've had in a while. Lisa, thank you for reporting in. Exciting stuff, and looking forward to talking with you more after the event and getting your take on it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for remoting in. We're happy to be here representing Fresno, and thank you for all you do, Alan. You are very much loved, not only in our region but across the nation. Thank you, mijo. You guys have a great day, and go red, right?
Go red. God bless you, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Mom. Love you.
Thank you. We love you. Bye-bye.
It was a super segment. You talking about somebody engaged. That's what we do. Oh, man. Why don't you run for mayor? Or run for senator or state?
I agree.
I think she'd be a great state representative.
I agree.
Because we just lost a senator. We need to talk about that.
Yeah.
Senator Dianne Feinstein. Somebody I knew pretty well. As mayor, her and I got along really, really well. She helped the city of Fresno out on many things, and I was always welcome at her office. I'll never forget when I first got elected. He the Night was still kind of pretty popular. I was walking through the hallway leading up to her office, and she stepped out just as we were coming in. I guess somebody phoned her that we were on the way. And it just so happened there was a lot of the people that were working there that do the show. Hey, Bubba, how you doing? And she had looking at me, going, "Who in the heck is this?" and we get in there, and they're still talking. I'm signing some autographs and stuff. So we go into her office. We sit down, and she goes, "Now, tell me again, who are you?" I said, "Well, no, I'm the mayor of Fresno." She goes, "I know that, but who are you?" I said, "I think this little television show that some people watch called The Heat of the Night." He goes, Carol O'Connor. I go, "Yeah." And from that point on, we had just a great relationship. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the entire Feinstein family. And it's, I hate to get into this, guys, but dadgummit, I like I said, I knew her. I was very fond of her. And I'm not trying to criticize the family. That was their mother, wife, aunt, and whatever, their staff. But dadgummit, did you not know that something like this could happen the way you're pushing that lady to be in this high-stress job? And this is like 4 or 5 years that she's been in decline, not being able to do the job. And again, I'm not politicizing. This is a human thing to me. Like I said, I knew her. I liked her. A woman of dignity. And you have her there. She can't remember things, and her aide has to whisper the question in her ear. Why? Why'd you do that? Because you needed a vote that bad that you would literally just work somebody in their last days like a plow horse? And we're seeing stuff like that done with John Fetterman. And obviously, had a stroke. He's got depression issues. And thank goodness for the. But anyway, are you guys? I don't know. I'm not asking you guys to go there. Just
I'm on the other side.
if I had met her and seen this, and I see what they're doing to Joe Biden, doing the same thing to Joe Biden, Mitch McConnell, do the same thing to Mitch McConnell.
I'm on the other side of this.
No, go ahead. I respect that.
So I think I said it earlier on another show. The greatest thing I think I respect of Senator Dianne Feinstein is the fact that she didn't give it up, because I think her making that stand, I think she wanted to stay there. She wanted to stay there, I think, to subliminally tell everyone, listen, the old style of Democrat that can get along, and she was pretty progressive, but that old style of Democrat that would talk to the other side, I don't think she likes the way Congress has turned out to be. I don't think she necessarily liked the way America turned out to be. So I think for her, I think she wanted to stay until the very end. And you got to tip. I got to tip my hat, because in today's day and age, and you saw this in your profession, people don't work in the same job more than 5 years. This is something that, and I would say this irrespective of her political party. So I'm glad she stood her ground. And if Mitch McConnell's not ready, like these people, in my eyes, that seat doesn't belong to them. It belongs to the American people.
But Bob, they're making, as a senator, as a congressman, certainly as a president, you're making decisions on very important things.
And that was going to be my point. What is their effectiveness? A war raging. Yeah, what is the effectiveness when you get to that point, though, Guillermo? When you can't even, number one, maybe not even hear the question. Number two, not even understand the question. A simple question. And so I have some real reservations. Then that brings up the issue of term limits. Do we have term limits? That's a whole different discussion.
I don't agree. I don't believe in term limits. I think, Trump's almost 80.
But my point is, when you get to when someone is obviously has some health issues and they're not able to fulfill the duties of their office,
right?
Then how effective are they? And I just don't.
I'm with you.
And 90 years old. Yeah. I mean, God bless her. She worked till the day she died, literally. But I'm not.
I don't think it's the age. It's when you start to decline, and you see it. I mean, we don't let older people that decline in their cognitive abilities and their eyesights have a driver's license. There's a reason for that, because they put other people's lives at stake. When you have that same kind of cognitive decline and you're making a vote on whether to send more guns and artillery to the Ukraine for a war that's lost, and literally life and death decisions that you're making there, and you don't, like you said, you don't even understand the simplest of questions, you're just doing what somebody else is telling you to do, then it's time to step down. And I think, you're talking about a cognitive test for a president, senator. Yeah, I guess I am. They do it for a driver's license. They have pilots have to go through training. Doctors have to go through competency reviews, because so much is at stake. And if you're 85, you're Rupert Murdoch and you're 93 and you're still sharp as a tack and you want to keep running your company or be a senator. Whether you agree with his policies or not, you had Strom Thurmond, who was in there. He said, let me filibuster. Well, you're going to have to talk for about 3 minutes. 3 hours. That's all right. Put me up there. The guy was 91 years old up there. No, I'm just using an example. Not that I agreed with what he was saying. He was there forever. Well, the voters wanted him there. They kept voting him back in, as they did Feinstein. But I just, anyway. Yeah, I didn't mean to go for that, because I think with a little of encouragement, a little bit of compassion, a little bit of real kindness, grace, and support from her family and her staff, I think she would have stepped away. But I think they were feeling this. Oh, you can't, Senator. We need you. We have to have that for this vote. It's a 49 Senate or whatever, 51-49 Senate, and your vote goes. The future of the democracy of this country is at stake. You know, the MAGA are going to take over if you don't show up. Okay, let's take a quick break. We come back. We'll keep you surprised. We'll figure that out ourselves. So many things.
It's a surprise to me.
It's a veritable smorgasbord. A smorgasbord.
How about you? It's going to be a surprise.
Remember when buffets were called smorgasbords?
Yes, with no sneeze guard on there.
Yeah, well, we didn't have that.
I know.
Perry Boy's smorgasbord?
Never had that. It's wide open.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I know buffets.
Buffet? Oh, you millennial. Oh, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, Rich, kind of on this subject. We'll be right back. Okay.
On buffets?
That's right. Get on up. Get on up. Ah. You know what I feel like? I feel like
I can't
today,
imagine.
all the stuff going on. I feel like when Merle Haggard, when he sat down. She's not doing my Mitch McConnell.
I'm sorry.
And I'm not making fun of Mitch. No,
Poor
I'm not.
Mitch.
I will never body shame somebody. We're just
What Merle Haggard? What?
Well, the thing is, back in the 70s, times were really, really tough. And what was the name of the song he wrote that did his commentary on how things were? I'll think of it in a moment. But it's so applicable to today. It's in the early 70s.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I need a little more clue than that because I can't tell you.
Name that tune.
I can't tell you what
name
song
that tune.
Bob,
I can name that tune in 3 notes. I can name it in 2 notes. I can name it in 1 note. Okay. Dink.
I can name it without hearing a note.
Green River. Yes.
Yeah, that's it. You have ESPN.
But it went something like this. I wish a Coke was still cola. A joint, a bad place to be. Back before Nixon lied to us
all on TV.
Before microwave ovens, when a girl still cook, still would. Are the best of the free life behind us now? Are the good times really over for good? Are we rolling downhill like a snowball headed for hell? No chance to ringing the Liberty Bell. I wish a Ford and a Chevy would last 10 years like it should. Are the best of the free life behind us now? Are the good times really over? Over good. All right, we're back.
Oh,
hey,
we're back.
Hum-ta-hum.
Just a little musical interlude there.
Remember that little cheer from?
Leave your tips on the table.
You got that ball, so really go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Boy, cheers have really come a long way. You see them out there, it's like you're at some strip joint.
Oh, it's all choreographed.
Yeah, but scantily dressed. Remember the old cheerleaders? I mean, and back in the day, a lot of the cheerleaders were male. Then male cheerleaders went away. Yeah. All right, here we go. You got 5 minutes, okay? And what a 5 minutes going to be.
Hey, look, I wanted to wear this because who do I remind you of?
Gavin Newsom at the French Laundry with your collar pulled up, trying to hide.
No, but who else wears?
What you look like.
Who else wears green camo?
Hi, he's a little leprechaun for fighting Irish in Notre Dame.
Zelensky. Isn't this giving you a Zelensky vibe? Look at.
He does a little bit.
I didn't know he was a fashion trendsetter, but
look at the camera. I look like Zelensky.
You do.
I got one color on.
I look like Walter Brennan. Who do you look like? You look like Grizzly Adams.
Hey, my wife brought us bear claws.
All right. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh!
From La Boulangerie.
Esther is wonderful.
La
All right, bring us in because we only got Guillermo for 5 minutes.
All right, here we go.
Just looking up at the monitor, it says Kelsey jersey sales skyrocket after Swift's support. Well, now we might know why he was seeking out the date.
Yeah.
No, I want to be as cynical. I wish them well. She seems to be a good
What's the age difference of those two? I never did. Much. Just a couple of 2 or 3 years.
Well, I think he's probably in his early 30s, mid 30s. He's like what, late 20s, early 30s?
I don't know.
I don't know, but I wish them well. She's as far left as they come, but a work ethic, works hard, family person, respectful, at least so far. And he's on the left. He drinks the Bud Light, all that stuff. He's on the left, so their politics kind of mesh, and I wish them happiness because you can disagree with somebody and still like Kellyanne Conway, what's George Conway? How did they stay? Well, they stayed married because they talked about other things, but boy, far left and far right.
So this Taylor Swift thing is, I can't keep up with who she's dating. Wasn't she dating some guy from like a band? And then before that, it was not.
Yeah.
So here's what really irks me. I think America's being played. You tell me, Alan, if in Hollywood, do they match up people just for some publicity?
They tried to. That's the old school. They tried it. I don't think it happens anymore. Not much. Somebody tried to match me up one time.
Really?
With Trisha Yearwood.
Oh.
Garth, no exception. Never with their manager was trying to. Because she was single.
But like for reals or fake?
Yeah, but we never talked or anything.
Yeah.
Just call up, hey, this might happen. I said, oh, I don't do that. She probably didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Come on. I think
it's a setup.
But the thing with Kelsey, where he's having, he's got a fan base in Kansas City.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, every other city he goes
terrific player.
They hate him, right? In every other city.
Yeah,
so you got
your
he's good fan base in Kansas City. And the other Kansas City Chiefs around the country. But I think it's safe to say there's more Packer fans around the country, more Steeler fans around the country than Chief fans, right? I mean, there's
probably.
Yeah, probably. But
I'd go there.
If you decide to break up with her, you better be real careful how you do that. Because she writes the wrong song about you, buddy.
You think someone's going to dump Taylor Swift?
They are going to boycott your jersey just as quick as they bought them. You won't be able to sell a Kelsey jersey. It'll be like this guy, Scandalfall or something on one of these shows, a big popular reality show. He messed over this gal who was she was just a sweetheart. And it just came out of nowhere. My wife watches all this stuff. And his last name is Sandoval. But now his nickname is Scandalfall. Nobody wants to be around him. Nobody will take a picture with him because this gal was so beloved. You imagine dumping Taylor Swift and you're out there going, so that's a double-edged sword. Okay. I only got about a minute or two left with you. You hear about the boomers need to move away. By the way, Mitch McConnell's not a boomer. He's ahead of us. I'm a boomer. Bob's a boomer. 71, I think boomer cutoff age is about 60 or late 50s, early 60s maybe.
I think the boomers were considered
but I mean, right now, the age group that they're in, it was the
post-war. Well, if you're born after 62, I think.
Yeah, after 62,
if you're 61, 62, you're
right to 75, I think, or something like that. You're a boomer.
Well, you're either a boomer or you're dead.
Well, yeah. Well, anyway, I'm tired of hearing this, and chorus is starting to grow. Oh, boomers, it's time for you to go.
Where are you guys going?
Move over and let the millennials pass the torch.
Aren't you a millennial?
I'm a millennial.
Well, pass the torch.
Well,
do it with some dignity. Move out of that corporate CEO spot. Move out of that coaching spot. Move out of that radio host spot. But my point is, sorry, come and get it. We ain't going nowhere. Come and get it. And by the way, if you come with the attitude that I'm going to replace you and in 2 weeks I'm going to be running the business, you're going to see boomers dig their heels in even more. And there's a lot of hardworking millennials. We got one right here. Works harder than anybody I've ever seen. Worked harder than most boomers that I know. Guillermo Moreno. I'm not saying they're not hardworking millennials, but there is more per square inch that I've seen that are up there yapping. You never hear that from him. Hey, old man, old lady, leave. I know you're doing a great job. I know you're still excellent at what you're doing. You're still bringing home the bacon. You're still achieving, but it's my turn.
Because?
I'm sorry. It's not, that everybody gets to play because they want to. You have to earn it. How many people, a lot of those boomers, the old adage, started in the mailroom or the metaphorically equivalent of. They started sweeping the floors. And they did what? they work their way up. You're getting a mindset of millennials, and not to mention Generation Z. Below them.
My wife has to deal with that.
Coming in the company.
Yeah.
So my point is, boomers, my fellow old men and beautiful mature ladies, don't say don't refer to them as old ladies.
You walk through that minefield pretty well.
Mature, seasoned women, beautiful. Stay there as long as you're staying and you can do the job. Don't stay around too long, because we just talked about Senator Feinstein. You'll know when it's time to step away. But for the greater good, not only for your benefit, boomers, but for the benefit of these millennials. Use the time to teach it. Don't let them get away with this, I'm entitled to have your job, because there's an artificial time that you should occupy that job and then move on. There's no term limits in normal jobs. There's not even, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
There's no term limits in Congress. There's not. Okay, anyway. Guillermo, you're a millennial. I just raked your generation over the coals. Well, what do you have to say?
Here's the unfortunate. Here's the unfortunate part. I don't think the boomers right now can afford not to work in this economy, in this Biden economy.
Well, yes, but I'm trying to make a good excuse, a moral excuse to stay in there. Yeah, I didn't want to say, hey, we're all broke. We can't leave. Would you please stop?
I'm telling you,
just be a little dignity.
Stop
Will you let me leave this studio with a little dignity as a boomer?
Fine. Got to help him out the door now.
I don't know if you want to hand it off to the millennials. I don't know if we're responsible and mature enough and ready to do what it takes. I think.
Well, I look. I see the glass half full, but then I see Ramaswamy.
Yeah,
he's 3/4 there. But that quarter just ain't ready to take over.
Yeah.
He's not the glass isn't full with him. And he is a millennial's become a billionaire. But when you're talking about decoupling China, just the way he handles himself, kind of an arrogance that he just doesn't even, I think he's probably a great guy. But you get on there, stage, and you immediately, the first debate I'm talking about, you said these other 6 candidates have been bought and paid for. I'm the only guy that's dadgum. You just insulted.
Yeah,
and then he tried to backtrack because he read the polls in this last and said, well, I'm up here with some great people.
Yeah.
But just, anyway,
well, I can tell
what do y'all think?
I can tell you as someone who hired people for in the insurance business for over 30 years as a supervisor and a manager. 30 years ago, it wasn't so tough. Now it's tough because these kids come in and they think within the year they should be running the company. And when you hire them, after 6 months, they want to be promoted to, the senior chief executive officer of the company.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
Well, I always.
I don't want you to be honest.
When I came out of law school,
yeah,
I went back to the company, and I thought like, hey, it's my time, and my mentor had been there for a really long time. She had, I think she was like on her 44th year there.
Mm-hmm.
And we were good friends. And I'm like, I think I even had a conversation with her at one time. Like, hey, you ever want to hang it up? Like,
that's probably not the thing to say.
I said it in a very
out of law school. You started implementing your plot.
I said it in a very kind way.
No, I'm glad you're being honest.
Yeah. And let me tell you what.
She was 48.
No, she had been there.
She had been
there
for 40 years.
Yeah, she was probably about 73, 74.
Oh, she was just warming up.
Yeah.
Why does that not seem so old?
Just warming up. And she had held every position.
Chicken.
What? Yeah, she had held every position in the company.
What did you say to that?
She handled it very diplomatically. And I forgot what she said.
As a boomer would.
But she made me feel.
Until she got home.
She
told her husband.
Threw darts at your picture.
You know what this little fart told me today?
She made me feel. It was a special knack of like, I knew I had kind of irked her, but she still made me feel like, when your time comes, you're going to take it. Pretty much saying, look,
not discouraging.
Yeah, no, not discouraging at all. Stick with me. And now that I look back, and I think it was maybe about another 5 or 6 years before, she had passed, and then that's when it kind of happened.
That's when you felt bad.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But
sitting there at the funeral going, gosh, dang it. I just tried to push this old lady
hope
out.
I wasn't part
And
of
it
this.
wasn't like she's known me since I was 4 years old.
Oh, that's
So it
even
was-
worse.
Yeah, well, it was. Hold on, wait.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Heartless, but I'm glad you're opening up.
Sometimes
You need to get this off your chest.
I do.
You've been carrying this a
Confession
long
time.
time. That's why I'm
Confession
here.
time.
And you can tell it to two old dudes.
Transparency.
So let me tell you.
And this
Transparency
is
is
good for you.
key.
So let me tell you this.
Go on.
During those years, I was like, man, I probably would do this differently. I probably would do this differently. Why does she do it that way? And now that I've been in the position for my 4th year, I am finding myself missing that I can't talk to her. You know what I mean? And have these conversations. Yeah. And I feel that now when I make a decision and I step back and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what she would have done. And that's exactly what I didn't want to do early on. And so I'm really finding myself saying, dang it, and now that I'm in the position, I'm like, I kind of wish I wasn't.
Well, first of all, folks, listen, let me clear something up right now about this guy. I kid him a lot. I love him. I think he's one of the most talented individuals on many levels I've ever been around. His heart's even bigger and more impressive than that. And he has an affinity for old people like me and Bob. And I won't get into details, but spends a lot of his life helping old people. Folks who really need the help. He's made it a mission in his life to be there for them and see to their needs. So I didn't get that disclaimer. I kid him on this segment right here, but I haven't met anybody that's more courteous, respectful, and caring for older people than Guillermo Moreno. So let's get that out of the way right now. But it's a tough era when you've got to, because I feel it. I know my time is coming. Bob, we feel it. It's that passing of the torch is something that has to happen. The thing is, I watched the generation before our generation, the World War II generation, and they dug in and they worked till they couldn't work anymore, and we just saw that was the way it was supposed to be. You drive the tractor out there till you can't drive the tractor anymore. There wasn't going to be somebody say, hey, old man, it's time you get off the cotton picker because you're 72 because we've got a young 25-year-old or whatever. So our generation, it's kind of foreign to us to say you reach an age where now you're supposed, if you're working well and you're feeling good and you're producing, you're not dropping off.
And you still like what you're doing.
And in some cases getting better at what you're doing, But this whole thing that's out there now, voluntarily step away when you think you're still doing it because it's somebody else's turn. It's kind of, and maybe there's more to it.
Well, sometimes it becomes for some smaller firms, it becomes a matter of economics because you're going to pay somebody like me more money than you're going to pay a fresh-faced kid coming in. And that's happened before, So sometimes it's an economics thing in a small operation or maybe a large operation too. I don't know. But the one thing that I've noticed over the years is that the folks, the young kids, everybody's a young kid. You're a young kid. That we would hire, not all of them, but some of them had it. What's in it for me? When I was first hired, I just wanted a job. I wanted to please everybody and make sure that I was doing the right thing at the right time and keeping everybody happy. Now it's a lot more selfish and individual and, hey, what's in it for me? So there's that kind of attitude that comes across with some of these kids too. Kids again. And that's kind of some of the things that I saw, especially in the last 15 to 20 years, as opposed to way back in the late 70s and early 80s.
Right.
Hey, going way back.
That generational transition from John Kennedy, which said torch is passed to a new generation. It's just a circle of life. It happens. And I think it's good that you have the generation ahead of you want to still be productive. That's a good example for their kids and grandkids coming up. But let's shift gears because we only got like 4 minutes because I want to hear you guys' opinion about this. This guy, Coach Lanning out of Oregon, is taking all sorts of heat, even from Nick Saban, about that pregame speech. Did you happen to see that, Guillermo?
The click one?
Yeah. We played for Wednesday Night Clicks. That is played on turf, not in Hollywood. And and Skip Bayless went so far as to say it was racist.
He's a bonehead.
A racist thing to say. And my point was, my goodness. Now, Nick Saban, to his defense, was saying, hey, he had no problem with what Coach Lanning said when he got his folks fired up, man. Those kids were fired up. And they said nothing all week with Deion's flash and everything, and all this, that smack talk. What we didn't know at that time when we were watching this, that they had captured Deion's son on video and a couple of the other players smack talking the Ducks before that went viral afterward. So the anger was fueled as much about that as him, the Hollywood thing. That if a coach didn't use that, he shouldn't be coaching to get your kids fired up. Yeah. You think that I tell you, you're at Fresno State and you're going to play Stanford. If you don't listen to that thing going, they just think you're a bunch of country boys down here. All you know how to do is pick grapes and drive a tractor. They sit up there at Stanford in their ivory towers with their PhDs. You know all that means? Pile higher and deeper. They think they're better than you. You go out there and show them who owns this field. I mean, if you don't use that.
Yeah, well. Obviously, you're going to use every tactic as a coach.
And it's not racist.
You're going to use every tactic as a coach.
Let's be real here.
Against the other team to get your guys fired up. And aside from the fact that he had a much superior team, it worked.
Oh, God.
They kicked butt on that. And let me just say, I think Deion Sanders is a breath of fresh air for college football. I think he's an awesome guy. He's a godly man, and he talks the talk and walks the walk.
Agreed. And Coach Lanning said the same thing.
He said the same thing after the game, and so I think there's much ado about nothing.
If Skip thinks that's the
well, it is Skip Bayless.
If he thinks that's the worst speech that's ever been said in a football locker room, then he's got another thing coming. Yeah, you can,
but to bring racism,
of course they're
come on, Skip Bayless.
He's a bonehead. I never come on.
But I agree with you.
He's looking for clicks.
And but the thing is, he is, because you know what? The thing is, he's playing the money game. He's prime time. He wears the gold thing. I love him. I think he's great. But you play that game, you are playing for clicks. He, by the latest estimate, has already made Oregon over $280 million.
Colorado?
Colorado.
Colorado.
I'm sorry. He's made Colorado over $280 million. Merchandising. Mm-hmm. Clicks, if you will. And sure, and if you set yourself up for that, you're going to get other coaches that are going to come after you on that.
They're going to attack you. Sure.
I mean, when you label yourself primetime, and it doesn't stop when you leave, you tell your kids, I'm down to earth. Just call me Coach Prime.
I'm 58, but call me Prime.
Coach Prime. And come on. You're a coach. You're going to go after that, man.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I just think it's a lot of fun just talking about it.
Well, and you already gracious because I know you got someplace to go, Guillermo. Real quick, is your coach at Michigan State? Is he toast? Is he gone? Does he have a chance to stand?
Put a fork in him. That man's done.
He's done.
Yeah, he's done. Yeah, he's done.
He's fighting it,
and rightfully so.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, rightfully so. You can't do that stuff. You got to lead by example. You can't be hypocritical, and he was. And good riddance, Coach Prime.
Any suggestions,
Coach Prime?
Coach Prime. How about Harbaugh?
We'll never be able to wrestle that man away. But
that's another guy.
I was telling Bullet Bob they were asking me to coach. I don't know if maybe I should do it.
Hey man, I think you do a great job.
I told him he's qualified.
You did. Just go in there as a millennial and tell him, hey, you're gonna have to move over.
And he'd only ask $9 million a year.
It's my time to coach here at Michigan State.
And he'd only demand $9 million a year.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a reduction from what Tucker was.
You imagine one of these millennial coaches going up to Nick Saban going, I have to move over and Coach Saban. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in. God bless you. God bless America. Just do your best. Let God do the rest. And we'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye now.